guys, welcome back to Inside the Storm. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host Zane, and today we've got a top show lined up for you. We're going to be hitting all the major talking points from the Match Week 12 clash against Thornbury, previewing the huge game against Moonee Valley in Match Week 13, as well as touching on all the action around the club. Let's get straight into it. Match Week 12 saw this team take on Thornbury away, kicking off the second round robin in a really big away game. Thornbury sitting in 11th place with the Storm sitting in 9th, and so a real good opportunity to make some distance between the bottom of the table and the potential bottom two relegation teams, and also start moving into kind of mid-table, which is currently separated by only a few points. So it was a really good opportunity for the squad to separate and show that, you know, the positive momentum that had been built near the end of the first round robin was not lost in the loss to Bendigo, obviously, in the 4-2 loss to Bendigo, and that the squad could bounce back really well. And definitely that was seen in the performance. It was a really strong performance in terms of chance creation, defensive solidity, team structure. I mean, the performance was top, and it was exactly what you wanted to see from a team after losing a game and losing a game in slightly more comprehensive fashion. It was exactly the kind of response that you expect from a team that's on the up and is building momentum. And definitely in the first half, you saw that with just the caliber of goal that was scored, but also chances that were created. And really, I think on a different day, you're walking into that game with a 4-1 margin, maybe 4-0 margin even. Obviously, the goal comes very much against the run of play after the Storm's first goal, which definitely looked like it was coming. To score off for Thornbury to score off a set piece, off a long throw in. Credit to them, very effective. But definitely came against the run of play, and the sentiment around was definitely that game should not have been at a 1-1 margin going in. At a 2-1 margin going into halftime. That should have been really a blowout in the first half, and I think that was just the sentiment around the team. But obviously, taking the positives of that, meaning that, you know, the expectation was that, you know, while already winning, the margin just should have been higher. And I think that was really reflected in the coaching points that were given at halftime, as well as the player instructions. And you definitely saw that, I think, in the first 25 minutes, there was a real urgency in the second half to get that to get the third goal and you know, add some daylight between the two teams. And unfortunately, that's football, that you can, you know, be an aggressive, chance-creating team, and one of those days, you know, that next goal that you really need just doesn't come. And unfortunately, I think 92nd minute, 93rd minute, Thornbury again score off a long throw in, and it ends all square. But really, I don't think you can fault the performance or the effort or the quality that was on display from the squad. Just by, you know, the amount of chances created, the actual brand of football, the vibrancy in how the squad plays. Ultimately, sometimes you're just going to walk away without the result that you really wanted, and definitely I think that was sentiment around the boys, that it felt like that was 2 points dropped and not a point gained. And, you know, reflecting on the table, it was definitely an opportunity to add a little bit of daylight, and unfortunately, it wasn't seized in the best way. Obviously, still better than losing a game, but with the momentum and the goal of the squad to really climb up that table, I think it was a little disheartening to put in such a good performance away from home and not be able to walk away with all 3 points, and then conceding in that specific manner as well. Wouldn't say hurts confidence, but definitely feels unjust for just the sheer amount of quality chances that the team had, and I think that going into reflection in training and in the next games is just a really vital lesson, that away from home, if you don't take your chances and you don't give yourself enough of a margin, you know, things can always go against you, and you can always let a team back in. And credit to Thornbury for really staying in and absorbing the pressure well, and waiting for the right moment. And both halves, both of their goals were opportunistic and very intelligent. And despite, you know, good defending from the Storm, I think defending 20 set pieces as well, ultimately it takes two to score, and that can be 2 out of 5 set pieces or 2 out of 25. And I think definitely a performance that deserved a win, but unfortunately, you know, that's just not how football always is, and that's just the kind of result that they had to walk away from. And obviously, still positives around the draw. Have a listen to the squad's immediate thoughts following the end of the game.
Yeah, I think we deserved to win in that first half, but then in the second half, they were really good on set pieces. We did the best to defend. We did some changes to deal with the set pieces, but unfortunately, we conceded a goal in the last minute. It's football. You don't take your chances, and that's what happens.
Look, the game was a tough one. I feel like we should have won, but unfortunately, due to our mistakes, they first half were dominant. By second half, I think we fell asleep a little bit and got sucked into the game. Look, congrats to them on getting the point, I guess, and hopefully we can step up from here and focus more.
Yeah, it was good to be back, but it was a tough game, I'd say. First half, I thought we played very well, created lots of chances, played more of our football, and went in with the lead. In at halftime with a draw, but we felt like we were on top. Second half, got an early lead, and after that, I think we got a little bit complacent and started not really playing our football, and unfortunately conceded a late set piece. But it was a tough game. Got to bounce back next week.
Yeah, I think first half we were class. First half we were all over. All of our sort of the things that we're setting out to try and do, pass and move, get runs in behind. I think, probably could have had 2 or 3 more in the first half. And then second half, we knew that they were going to come out again. We knew that they were going to push. And we kind of sat back and allowed them to do that. We had chances to put the game to bed. Marcellus had a chance. There was a fast break from Norris and Bruno. So, it's not just one person or a few guilty people in there for that. But I think, we finished those chances, we put to bed, and it feels a bit like the sort of story of the season. We play well, but just for not long enough periods of the game and capitalise when we do go ahead. So, proud of the boys for getting there. Almost over the line, literally last kick of the game. Probably was offside as well. But yeah, we go again next week, back to training, and then we'll put some good results together.
Now, moving on to this week, the squad takes on Moonee Valley away from home in a super, super exciting game. Moonee Valley currently sitting in first place, 8 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. So they've had an incredibly good season and just a fantastic opportunity to, contend with the top team in the league, really, in the current challenger for the league and the current favourite to win the league, and really an opportunity for the boys to test their mettle against the best team and see if they can really go toe to toe with such a good team. Obviously, in the first leg at home in match week 2, it was a really, really tight game. You saw the Storm take a lead, a 1-0 up until the 65th minute, and then unfortunately concede 2 goals in quick succession and not be able to get all 3 points and end up losing the game at home. And I think since then that was the catalyst for the loss streak, unfortunately. And I think since then this game has really been in the calendar for a lot of the boys as a real chance to respond and send out a message to the league saying that the Storm is not in the position on the table that it deserves, and arguably it's quite clear to say that because the performances definitely don't reflect the position in the table, but ultimately the table doesn't lie. And it's just a fantastic opportunity to be able to go out there in their home ground and get a win or get a big result and really affect the narrative around the league, because at the minute it really looks like Moonee's running away with it, and it's their league title to lose. Seeing Kilo slip up a couple times in the past few weeks, but really it just comes down to this game and to build that momentum. Obviously, if the Storm wasn't to win it's not a game that you want to write off. Obviously, every game you go in with the expectation to win, but it would be understandable that maybe this is a game that you're not required to win. But I think the position of Coach Rex and the coaching team and the players is that every game is winnable, and that game especially is one that they're excited for the potential challenge of playing against a really good team and being able to play their football and their style and tempo and ultimately go out there and get a result, because I think the confidence beating the first place team, the best team in the division, away from home would be such a pivotal point of the season, giving them the confidence to really, really push up, especially with such a setback against Thornbury. It's the perfect chance to really, really bounce back and take all of that, frustration and anger out from conceding a last minute goal and not getting a win to, the perfect opportunity to really go out there and apply yourself and show exactly why the Storm has been playing well recently and why the Storm is, a really informed team in the league. Obviously, that was 3 wins on the bounce and then lost to Bendigo and the draw now. But 4 games out of 5 games, 10 points is quite impressive for the inconsistency we've seen in the league. I think only Moonee Valley and Keilor have been able to put up those kind of that kind of form within a 5-game span. So a really, really interesting game, and the potential for the squad to use it as a catalyst for the rest of the season is incredible. So definitely extremely excited to check that out. That'll be on Saturday away from home at Avondale Heights. Kickoff is on Friday. Kickoff for the reserves is 6:15 and for seniors is 8:30. So if you can come down to Moonee Valley, it would be absolutely great to have some away support for maybe the Storm's biggest game of the season so far, or definitely the biggest game of the season so far, but potentially the biggest game of the season completely. So really, really, I think the sentiment around the club and the training sessions and the senior setup is just one of extreme excitement and relishing the opportunity to play first and potentially get a result. Around the club, obviously juniors have been back after their bye week. It's been great to see all of the teams really, really improve with the World Cup on. There's been a real focus in training to emphasize the importance of the World Cup to the junior squads and have them all feel like they're participating in some way, especially in training, by having them representing different countries and playing tournament football for themselves and getting used to being extremely comfortable playing tournament football, because ultimately that's what they compete in, right? That's the biggest cups, and even their Sunday games are similar formats. So really, really nice to see everyone taking part in that and with such a positive energy around football as a whole, but especially as the club with the World Cup on. It's lovely to see. But yeah, guys, check out all of the coverage for the huge clash this week against Moonee Valley. If you can come down Friday night, I'm sure the Storm would love to have you, and this support would be much appreciated. If not, obviously Sunday's junior games, and there'll be highlights out. Thank you so much. I've been your host, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.